The studio lights are bright. Too bright. The clinking of coffee mugs. The rustle of cue cards. It's just another morning on The View, or so everyone thought. Reba McEntire is seated calmly, her signature smile in place. Boots crossed, radiating southern grace. She's there to promote her latest album, maybe crack a joke or two, and remind America what country class really looks like. Then it happens. Joy Behar leans in. Voice sharp, eyes narrow. Well, Reba, don't you think that kind of thinking is a little backward? The audience shifts. A few gasps. A stunned silence settles in. You could cut the tension with a butter knife, Reba. Doesn't flinch. She slowly turns toward Joy. Her smile softens, not in submission, but in calculation. The silence stretches. I'm sorry. Did you just call half of America backward? Her voice is calm, chilling, controlled. Because where I come from, we call that being honest and decent. The air is sucked out of the room, a beat. Then scattered applause, nervous, unsure. Reba's eyes don't waver. Joy blinks first. On social media, it's already spreading. Clips of the moment, the pause, the look, the line, are flooding. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Within minutes, it's more than a moment. It's a movement. One side calls it refreshing, bold, long overdue. The other, disrespectful, uncalled for, off-brand. But everyone agrees on one thing. Reba McEntire just shut down The View, and the internet was never the same. But how did it come to this? How did America's country sweetheart end up going head-to-head with one of TV's most polarizing hosts? To answer that, we need to go back 24 hours. Reba had just touched down in New York. Fog on the tarmac. A driver with her name on a sign. Nothing unusual, she's done press tours before, but this time felt different. She was booked for The View to talk about her new album and her upcoming tours, a celebration of roots, family, and tradition. The kind of music that reminded people who they are, where they came from, and what still matters. Backstage. She was warm, humble, cracking jokes with the crew. No entourage. Just Reba, but in the producer's room. Whispers were swirling. Joy wants to ask her about the Nashville comment. She's not going to like that. Let's just see how it plays.
What?
The Nashville comment. That's what lit the fuse. A week earlier, during a radio interview in Tennessee, Reba had said something that ruffled feathers. I just think a lot of folks in this country are tired of being talked down to, whether they wear boots or suits. Harmless? Maybe, but not to everyone. Joy Behar, known for turning light segments into landmines, had apparently taken offense. She'd called Reba's line coded dangerous, an anti-intellectual in a behind-the-scenes briefing. And now, producers were torn. Should they steer the segment back to safe territory, music, legacy, laughs, or let Joy do what Joy does best? Reba, of course, didn't know any of this. She was in her dressing room, sipping tea, going over notes, smiling as she FaceTimed her niece. I'll be in and out, she said. Just a quick chat and I'm on my way. But what she didn't know was that The View had no intention of letting her just walk through the door unchallenged. What happened next didn't just blindside Reba. It lit up the entire internet. And it all started with one loaded question. I'm tired of pretending ignorance deserves equal time. That's the Joy Behar millions have come to know, sharp-tongued, proudly combative, and unafraid to offend. For over 2 decades on The View, she's played the role of instigator, poking, prodding, provoking. And for her audience, that's exactly the point. She wasn't always like this. In her early days, Joy was the funny one. Stand-up comic, quick-wit, Bronx-born and brash. But somewhere along the way, the punchlines gave way to put-downs. The show evolved. So did she. Behind the makeup table and the bright studio lights is a woman who sees herself as a cultural gatekeeper, defender of the right kind of progress. Enemy of anything rural, red, or religious. It's not always what she says. It's how she says it. Oh, you're one of those people, she once muttered on air, brushing off a guest who dared quote the Bible. Her targets have varied. Veterans who question war policy. Teachers who pray before class. Country singers, with too much patriotism, and while many applaud her, speaking truth to power, others see something else, an elitist sneer, aimed at anyone who doesn't share her worldview. That's why Reba's Nashville comment struck a nerve. To Joy, it wasn't just a throwaway line. It was a threat, a challenge to the cultural hierarchy she's helped maintain for years. So when she saw Reba's name on the guest list, something shifted. We'll see how sweet she is when I push back a little. Joy was overheard saying before the segment, what she didn't expect was that behind Reba's country warmth was an unshakable backbone, and what Joy failed to understand was who she was really dealing with. Because Reba McEntire doesn't just sing about strength. She lives it, before the spotlight, before the sold-out arenas. Before the world called her the Queen of Country, Reba McEntire was just Reba Nell, a ranch girl from Chalky, Oklahoma. Dirt under her nails, rodeo in her blood, faith in her heart. She wasn't born into fame. She was born into grit. Her father, a world champion steer roper. Her mother, a school teacher who taught her to sing harmony with her siblings in the back of a pickup truck. Theirs was a life of discipline, tradition, and unshakable values. And when Nashville finally came calling, Reba didn't change who she was, she brought who she was to the world. While other stars chased trends, Reba held the line. Her songs told stories of heartbreak, hope, and home. But behind the music was something deeper. A woman who refused to be told who she could be, what she could believe, or how she should speak. She's walked through fire, literally. Survived a plane crash that took her bandmates, endured betrayal in business and heartbreak in marriage. And every time, she stood back up. With grace, with grit, she's testified before Congress, performed for presidents, hugged fans in Walmart parking lots, and at funerals for fallen soldiers. She's never needed to shout to be heard, because the truth carries its own volume. And through it all, one thing has remained constant. You treat people right. You do what's right. And you don't back down when someone tries to silence you. That's the Reba who walked onto The View that morning, not just a music legend, but a mirror for millions of Americans who feel talked over, dismissed, erased. So when Joy Behar tried to put her in a box, Reba did what she's always done when someone underestimates her. She spoke up, calmly, powerfully, and the world listened. The segment starts as expected, warm applause. Reba's familiar twang, a light joke about her boots. Joy Behar smirks, but stays silent. For a moment, everything feels civil. Then the shift begins. Sonny Hostin tosses a softball question about Reba's tour. Reba lights up, talking about small towns, meeting veterans, teachers, first responders. The audience nods along, but then Joy cuts in, unprompted, tone clipped. Asterisk, you've said a lot about real Americans. Reba, what exactly does that mean? The smile fades not from Reba's lips, but from the room. Reba turns, posed. I mean people who wake up every morning, work hard, and love their country. That's all. Joy leans forward, voice rising. So, people in New York or LA, they're not real? That sounds like a dog whistle to me. There's a flicker in Reba's eyes. Not anger, resolve. That sounds like someone putting words in my mouth, she replies. Her tone's steady. The audience murmurs. Whoopi shifts in her seat. Sarah, and glances off camera. And Joy, sensing the tension, doubles down. Come on. Reba, that kind of talk is what divides this country. Reba breathes in, slow, calm. No. Joy, what divides us is when people who've never stepped foot in someone else's shoes tell them who they're allowed to be. The room goes still. You can hear a pin drop. A single clap breaks the silence. Then another. Applause begins to spread, hesitant, then firm. Reba hasn't raised her voice once. She doesn't need to asterisk, the audience can feel it. Something real just happened. But what came next wasn't just a comeback. It was the moment the conversation turned into a cultural reckoning. Reba took the gloves off. Joy Behar crosses her arms. Eyebrow raised, a smirk curling at the edge of her mouth. You can sing all the country songs you want. Reba, but words like yours get used to justify some ugly things. Reba pauses. The kind of pause that isn't empty. It's heavy. Weighted. She looks straight at Joy. Let me tell you something, Joy. I've stood on the front porches of military moms who lost their sons. I've sat in hospital rooms with teachers who spend their own money so kids don't go hungry. They're not hateful. They're not backward. And they sure as hell don't deserve to be sneered at on national television. The audience falls completely silent. Reba leans in. Not aggressive, but anchored. You want to know what divides this country? It's not country songs. It's not accents. It's people who think compassion only counts when it comes from people who agree with them. Joy opens her mouth, then closes it. There's nothing to say. A few audience members stand. Applause breaks out, unprompted. A producer off camera motions to cut, but it's too late. The moment is already out there. Raw, real. Viral-ready, Reba turns to the rest of the panel. We don't have to think the same to treat each other with some basic dignity. That's what makes this country worth fighting for. And then she smiles. That same calm Oklahoma smile mic dropped without ever raising her voice. The internet didn't just react, it exploded. Within minutes, clips of Reba's words were everywhere. Hashtags, duets, reaction videos, and even celebrities weighing in. What started as a morning show segment had become a cultural shockwave. It took less than 10 minutes. Clips of Reba's takedown flooded TikTok, Twitter, now X, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels. Someone added dramatic music. Another cut it into black and white slow mo. One video with the caption, "She said it without yelling, and that's why it hit harder," got 4 million views in an hour on Twitter. Country music legends weighed in. Jason Aldean. Real recognizes real. Carrie Underwood. Reba said what a lot of us have felt for years. Even outside the country scene, voices chimed in. Chris Pratt, Tim Allen, and Candace Owens reposted the clip. Political commentators labeled it a cultural reset. Memes exploded. Joy's stunned face next to Reba's calm stare became an instant reaction image. And then came the backlash. Progressive. Blogs called it a calculated attack. Pundits accused Reba of playing to the right. ABC issued a vague statement about encouraging diverse views. But Reba? She stayed quiet for the moment. Instead, her fan base did the talking. TikTok creators stitched themselves crying. Pointing to her words, Facebook pages lit up with posts from veterans, single moms, teachers in small towns, people saying, "I've never felt seen on TV." Until today, she just told the truth. What began as a tense exchange had become a cultural line in the sand. Not about politics, but about tone. About respect. About whose voice gets heard and whose voice gets mocked. And just when the storm seemed to peak, Reba finally broke her silence, and what she said next turned a viral moment into a lasting message. The air is thick with anticipation as Reba steps up to the microphone in a quiet press room, the weight of thousands of voices on her shoulders. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. This isn't about country versus city. She begins, her voice steady and warm. It's about dignity. About seeing each other as human beings, not caricatures on TV screens or headlines. She pauses, letting the truth settle like a bomb. I grew up understanding what it means to work hard, to sacrifice, and to love deeply, even when the world seems ready to write you off. And I believe, no matter where you come from, or what you look like, we all deserve to be treated with respect. Reba's words ripple through the room like a quiet storm. Strong, unyielding, yet compassionate. I hope this moment reminds us all that kindness isn't weakness. Listening doesn't mean agreeing, it means valuing the person across from you, and that America's greatest strength has always been its ability to come together, even when it feels like everything is pulling us apart. Her eyes shine with conviction. This conversation isn't over. But if we start it with respect, then maybe we're already on the right path. She closes with a smile, hopeful, sincere, and inspiring. The takeaway: Reba didn't just win a debate, she reminded millions why empathy, dignity, and unity are the true markers of strength. Her message wasn't just for one show or one audience. It was a call to action for a divided country. But the story doesn't end here. There's one final moment. Closing that challenges viewers to become part of something bigger than the drama, as the screen fades from the fiery debate to a quiet reflection. The message is clear. This isn't just a story about Reba McEntire with a view. It's about all of us. In a world too often divided by loud voices and quick judgments, the courage to listen, really listen, becomes revolutionary. If Reba's words struck a chord with you, don't let them fade. Subscribe to this channel for more stories that cut through the noise, inspire dialogue, and celebrate courage in all its forms. Share this video to spark conversations that matter in your community, your family, your circle of friends, and most importantly, be part of the movement that chooses respect over ridicule, empathy over division, and truth over noise. Because when dignity wins, we all win. Drop a comment below. Tell us your story. How do you stand strong when the world tries to silence you? Your voice matters, and this community is here to listen.